The main thing you should always focus in real estate investment is numbers. How are the numbers? So the first thing we need to talk about is cash flow. Cash flow is simply how your monies are coming in, your income and expenses per time. We are going to be taking an example of a property investment of $1 million, and the owner is looking to rent this property over a period of 5 years. And so his income, that is rent, he's getting for that property, total after all expenses, he's getting $80,000. Now, what is his cash flow? Year one, he invested 1 million, or year zero, that is the starting time. So in year zero, he invested $1 million. So negative $1 million. Then in the first year of this investment, he made a return or an income of 80,000. So we are going to assume that this is continuous for the 5 years. So what is his cash flow like? So his cash flow is simply year one, 80, 2, 80, year 3, 80, year 4, 80, year 5, 80 plus how much he's selling that property, which is $1.2 million. So this is his cash flow. Net present value. What does this mean? Well, the net present value metric is metric we use in real estate to check out, is this property worth my money or not? Now, it's simply the sum of all the future values, taking into account time, because time is money, right? So net present value calculate that time effect of money for you. Now let's do an example looking at a case study of an investment of $1 million. Does it make sense? So the net present value, we check it out. If it does make sense, looking at the time of 5 years, should we not just use this $1 million and do something else? Let's assume you're going for a Sukuk bond or a national bond that would have given you 8% return on investment. But you're going to let go that 8% and do this real estate investment. So your discounted rate or your opportunity cost is 8%. So it means this investment had better be better than this 8% you're going for. Somebody will say, okay, I can just calculate it. What I'm going to get divided by what I've invested to tell me the return. Yes, but what about the time? Is your $1 million today, the value of your $1 million today, equal to the $1 million you will have in 5 years? Probably not, taking into account inflation also and time value of money. So when you do the math using the net present value calculators, you will come to a number of $108.2 thousand as your net present value. It means letting go your 8% is worthwhile, because positive net present value shows the investment is what you are letting go for, right? But if it was negative, it means the other investment you want to let go is better, right? That's what net present value indicates for you. Internal rate of return. What is that? What does it mean? Now, internal rate of return is simply a metric that we use in real estate to measure the rate, meaning your opportunity cost, your discount rate, that will make the net present value zero, meaning that we make that investment break even, right? So ideally, that should be what you are looking for. Now, I'll give you an example. An investor once told me, hey, Austin, I'm only interested in properties that will give me 10% return. Now, what that investor is actually saying is that he needs 10% internal rate of return. So internal rate of return is that discount rate that makes your net present value, which we calculated previously, into zero. If you do the maths using internal rate of calculators of the example, we arrive at 10.24%. It means the rate of 10.24 of a discount rate is convenient for you to break even on that investment, meaning the investment will be able to pay back itself. So that takes us to the next video, payback period. Payback period. Payback period help you decide at what point would you get back the money you're putting in today. So in our case study example, the investor is putting in $1 million and for 5 years. So remembering his strategy is he's going to sell it at 1.2 million at the end of 5 years. So the payback period is a cumulative sum of how much you're receiving during that investment period. So in our case study, when you use the payback period calculators, you will arrive at between 4 and 5 years. This is the payback period of this investment. What does this mean? The shorter your payback period in any investment, the better that investment. So if you have an investment 1 or investment A that have a payback period of say 4-5 years, like this one we are using as an example, and you have another one that have a payback period of 25 years, the 4-5 years period logically sound more attractive to go for. So each of these metrics cannot tell you everything, but they can only suggest for you what direction to go for. The full decision always rests on you to take. You are the one to decide. So the next metrics we look at when trying to decide which property to go for is CAGR, a compound annual growth rate of say 5% every year. It means if you bought a property today for $1 million, by the next year, you already have $50,000 growth on top of that property. So you need to have those factors considered. So the metric that consider that for you is the CAGR, the compound annual growth rate. So if the location CAGR is decent, like 5%, some 4% and above, likely that location is a fast growing location. And when you invest in that location, you're going to be getting decent return in the nearest future. So in our case study example, we are going to assume that that property is located in an area with a compounded annual growth rate of say 5%. So at the end of 5 years, what will be the future value of that property? Now, future value. Remember, you're investing your money today. You should know what this investment should be worth in the future. So how do you know what that investment today, your $1 million you're investing today, will be worth in the 5 years? The future value calculation help you to have some kind of indication if everything is equal, like they say, all things being equal, right, in economics. In our last video, we talked about the compounded annual growth rate, CAGR. So with that rate, we put that into the compound calculation to calculate the future value. So in our present example, which we are using, when you do the calculation, you arrive at a future value of about $1.280 million. That would be the estimated future value. So it means your 1 million today in that future will likely give you 1.28 million. However, remember that the NPV tells you what is relatively worth to you today. So we move into the next concept. So the next concept or metric we are looking at is capital appreciation. Now, your capital appreciation is your net income or your net return from an investment divided by what you currently invested, right? So in our current example, we discussed the investor is putting in $1 million and is going to sell it at 1.2 at the end of 5 years, adding the last rent, which is $80,000 for the 5th year. Now, plus all the rent he has received throughout the investment. So in total, he's getting a net positive cash flow. Now, dividing that net positive cash flow he has received by his initial 1 million investment, that gives you over 26% capital appreciation, meaning what he has invested today has appreciated by over 26%. In exact calculation, the number is actually 27.6%. This happened because the property annual growth rate was 5%. So when you're deciding, you make sure you're looking at locations that have better annual growth rate. And there are a lot of other factors that contribute to that annual growth rate. The reason you find out that many investors are looking for locations with activities, location with certain development. What they are looking at is this annual capital growth rate, because the more enhancement, the more desirability a location have, the likelihood of the growth rate increasing. So everybody is looking forward to a location that have amenities coming up, development coming up, activities are coming towards that location. So most of these factors are what contributes to that compounded annual growth rate. So capital appreciation doesn't sit on its own. It stems from whatever the annual growth rate of that investment or that location is giving. Okay, hi, welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about the different type of real estate. Someone asked me, is hospital a real estate? Is school a real estate? Is farm a real estate? I thought it's just my building that is a real estate, right? So in this video, I'm going to be explaining the different type of real estate. In broad category, real estate is divided into two types. We have the residential real estate and the commercial real estate. What are the residential real estate? Residential real estate are those real estate or properties that is designed mostly for personal residence, meaning for you and your family. Those ones are duplexes, townhouses, flats, condominium, apartments. These are residential real estate for individuals, right? Now, commercial real estate have to do with investment properties. There could be residential real estate that you turn into commercial real estate. Under the commercial real estate, we have offices, retail shops, hospitals, school facilities, hotels, hotel apartments, warehouses. All of these are considered commercial real estate. So I hope that the argument is clear. We have residential and commercial real estate. But however, there are recently others that are considered specialized real estate. For example, the wellness real estate. Now, these are properties designed for wellness-centric living, right? Now, we also have the data center. With the emergence of AI, a lot of data centers are required for hosting and processing all of this data required for AI. So data center is a specialized real estate, but it's more of commercial real estate. Then we also have the agri-real estate, meaning real estate for agriculture, farmlands, right? So you're basically a specialized real estate. Then we also have land banking. This could be residential or commercial plots. So these are all under specialized real estate, meaning purpose designed real estate, right? So I trust the argument is clear. Residential real estate, commercial real estate, and subcategorize into specialized real estate depending on what you want to do. Broadly, the real estate investment strategy are divided into two, which is the buy to let or the buy and flip or flipping. Let's look at the buy to let. The buy to let strategy is you're buying with a plan to rent it and never sell, or sell in a later future. What do you consider when you're looking at buy to let strategy? You're mostly looking at locations with good rental yield or location that have high desirability. Of course, with high desirability, there will be good rental yield because demand will naturally be higher in that location compared to locations that have lower desirability. Two, we look at flipping. When you are considering flipping, you're considering location that gives you more margin. What is the margin? The difference between how much you bought it, how much you invested, and how much you finally sold the property. So if you invested $1 million and you're targeting a margin of 200,000, it means you're targeting a final sales price of $1.2 million. In your strategy of flipping, you will likely be looking for property locations that will help you achieve this margin. How do you find those locations? you're looking at one, location that have decent or high compound average growth rate. We discussed in our other videos about capital appreciation. Locations that have decent and stable capital appreciation are those locations where you can easily implement the flipping strategy. It means you could likely buy the property at the initial time or early time and sell at a later time, and you will rest assured that you will get a buyer at a good price. This is simplified explanation for flipping. Buy, refurbish, and resell. Let's discuss this strategy. Now, in this strategy, the investor goes out to look for properties that are undervalued or way below the market value. Then he arranges with contractors or interior designer and lift that property, meaning upgrade that property into the market value. Let's take, for example, a townhouse of $1 million in the market, and this investor finds this property for sale by the owner or somehow, and he bought it, say 30% below the market value. That means he's going to buy it at $700,000. He then go ahead to spend $50,000 in renovation. Based on this scenario, there's already the anticipated or the after renovation value of 1 million, because the ideal market price of townhouse in that location of that type is going for 1 million. So it means in this strategy, he's already having about $250,000 in margin profit. Basically, the key thing is to identify property below market value and that will cost less in upgrading into the market value. Basically, this is summary or simplified approach of this strategy. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about how you get money to invest in real estate. Number one is by yourself. So you probably would have to save money from rent, from your salary, or from other investment you have done, but your self-finance, which is raise the money by yourself. The owner is looking to sell for maybe like $1 million. You bring $1 million cash, pay, case closed, everybody go home happy, right? So this is the first way. So the first source of money is you. The next option is to go to the bank. You need to approach your banker and find out if you would be qualified for home mortgage. So your banker will look into your financial situation and give you their conclusion about your qualified or not qualified. But I'm going to assume you are qualified based on your financial situation. Now, you take out mortgage, meaning bank will ask you to pay a certain part, which is called a down payment, and the bank provide the remaining part. So most time in Dubai, people have loan to value of 80-20, meaning the bank will bring 80% and you will bring 20%. See, you can buy properties. This is using bank to finance. Another way you could finance your real estate investment is to do joint venture, meaning partnership. So let's say you've seen this commercial property or this residential property that will probably be good for rental. Then you don't have the fund yourself. You could then take that deal, I would say, and go to someone who would be qualified, and both of you will form a joint venture, meaning a partnership to co-invest. So what I'm saying is you can partner, do a joint venture with someone to do that. How about somebody will say, okay, look, I have the cash, but I don't have the land. You can actually do a joint venture with someone who has got the land, the landowner, and yourself to do a joint venture. But be sure you put your lawyer in place who is going to draft a concrete agreement to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed before going into a joint venture. These are most of the conventional approach of getting money to finance your real estate. Most of the conventional approach of getting money, the option number one, which is from yourself, from your family or friend, which are your first point of call, not available, and you're not also qualified for mortgage, and you can't find a joint venture partner. What do? And you want to invest in property. This is where we come into our next, which we call creative real estate financing. Right. Creative real estate financing, that's what it's called, other people's money. So you're basically leveraging other people's money to make a profit. Number one of this strategy is purchase lease option or rent to own. But what it is, purchase lease option is you having an initial agreement with the owner to rent the property with the option to buy it at a later time at the present agreed price. However, this requires strict legal arrangement. So I will encourage you to visit your lawyer and discuss this. The next creative financing is seller financing. Now, how does the seller finance you? The seller finance you by giving you like a payment plan, allowing you to take control over the property. Then when you finish paying, he transfers the ownership to you. Notice these creative real estate financing are tied very well to legal structures. So your lawyer that are specialized in this aspect could guide you properly on how to implement this seller financing. Now, the final one I would like to discuss today is the subject to financing. Now, the subject to financing oftentimes work with distress sales, meaning owners, landlords that are in distress, especially facing foreclosure, right, by the developer or the bank. So in that case, you can walk to that owner and offer to take over that owner's mortgage. So you become the person paying that mortgage on behalf of that owner, and the owner transfers the ownership of that property to you. And that transfer will be completed when you have completed the payment of the mortgage. So that's why it's subject to completion of the mortgage. I trust you understand these structures.